good few disruptions, and the cancellation of the European fixtures means there have been less opportunities for players to show form or to return from injury and get some minutes under their belts. Tadhg Furlong hasn't played in quite a while, but he's ready to join the group. Unfortunately, Jacob Stockdale will not be available to us. Ireland's opening Six Nations game is against Wales in Cardiff on the 7th of February. Sinead Kassan, Virgin Media News.
And the Guinness Six Nations kicks off the weekend after next. Wales against Ireland will be live on Virgin Media 1 on Sunday the 7th of February from 2 o'clock. Leinster's senior coach Stuart Lancaster is hopeful Tadhg Furlong will be involved in this week's game with the Scarlets. Furlong has been included in the Ireland Six Nations squad as he continues his comeback from injury, with Lancaster optimistic that Johnny Sexton will be fit for Ireland's opener. Lancaster also spoke about his own future with Leinster.
Yes, there's plenty of chat, I see. But I certainly haven't committed to anything at the moment, but there's plenty of talks going on behind the scenes. I'm very happy here.
Are you receiving interest from other clubs or anything?
There's always plenty of interest and plenty of chat, Sinead. So, like I said, I'm very happy here, and my family are. The problem is the commute at the moment. Obviously, that's not happening the way it used to, but, I'm at a very good club, so I'm happy.
Time now for another look at the weather with Derek.
QuoteDevil.ie can save you money on your home insurance, van insurance, car insurance, or life insurance.
The Quote Devil's always got one hell of a quote.
Cheers, Ger. Just past 9 bells now, and I have to say the weather and pitch are improving as we work our way through the morning. Still showers into northern Leinster, into parts of Ulster, mainly into Cavantown, Cootehill, Armagh and Lisnakay at the moment. So it really is Ulster now doing the heavy lifting in terms of that rain over the next hour or so as it shifts in a northeasterly direction. Dry the further south, we think now, in those light to moderate southwesterly breezes. And you'll notice those temperatures much, much milder. So a nice improvement on where we have been over the last couple of days at about 4 to 9 degrees. Now right across today, unfortunately not much of the way sunshine, but plenty of opportunity to get out and about, get your My 5K in. We're seeing sharing still across the southwest, but elsewhere holding mainly dry, mainly cloudy. Some bright breaks for a time will be quite limited in nature, and top values of about 7 to 11. Finally then, tonight it looks like more patchy light rain, mist and drizzle crisscrossing the southern half of the country. Drier the further north we go, and we are expecting showers, then more of it on the way then into Wednesday. An improving picture towards the back end of the week, Friday into Saturday. So that's a little bit of good news to hold on to, and values there at 7 to 9 degrees. So that's how we're shaping up for now. Final update coming to you live at 9:30.
For first-time drivers, young drivers, returning drivers, if you've had an open claim or have had too many penalty points.
The Quote Devil's always got one hell of a quote.
Well, comfy clothes are our go-to options right now, and if you're looking to smarten up these wardrobe staples, then stylist Lorna Waitman is here to help this morning. Good morning, Lorna.
Hi, good morning to you.
Your poor finger, she's told me she broke her finger, you poor thing.
I fractured my small finger yesterday. I had a lovely fall on the ice. So I know, so be careful out there. So I'm just concealing my
anything
very
professional, not even don't wear a bandage because it interrupt the outfit. And that's January 2021 for you. Now, anyway, we do have some lovely things to look at, some fashion eye candy.
We do, and I feel like at the moment, from talking to lots of people I work with or follow on social media, we tend to be wearing the same thing a lot lately. Lounge wear, casual, gym gear, we're not really changing it up, but there are some really small points of difference we can add to those looks to kind of make us feel a little bit smarter. And one of these things is actually just adding in details to comfy tops that we kind of might think we could just throw on and not feel dressed up, but this top here is actually made from like a tracksuit material. It is like a proper sweatshirt, but the collar on it actually just changes the whole thing and makes it look really, really smart. So you're able to marry up feeling nice and casual, but have that lovely smart feeling and aesthetic on it as well.
Jer's here with us watching, and Jer loves a collar, don't you, Jer? Loves a collar.
We love a collar.
And a lovely crossbody bag here.
Exactly. We had spoken, I think, a while back that we're not really into big tote bags or any kind of massive casual bag at the moment. So this Irish brand, which is Bags by Landa, has made this range of like wallet bags. So when you open it up, it has all your little card sections in it. So it is completely all you need.
And it's real leather, is it?
It's real leather as well for those kind of really essential trips out to the shops. And then if we've been in gym gear like I have all the time, or a pair of leggings, these are a jogger style trousers, so they're elasticated at the waist.
Good.
So they have that real casual feel, but they're really beautifully cut, and I think the check kind of makes it look really dressy as well. And then down to the runners, because essentially we're just sticking to really casual footwear at the moment. You're adding in all of those things that are very familiar and things that we have as well in our wardrobes, and just making small changes to smarten them all up.
Really nice. You're going to have more looks for us, quarter 10?
More looks later, and the most amazing trench coat, so stay tuned.
Ah, always a fashion favourite. Good stuff. Thanks for that, Lorna. Now, coming up, our reporter Brianna is at Dublin Airport with the latest on the expected tougher restrictions on travel.
We put new Fairy with lift action to the test, and the results speak for themselves. No mess, no grease, no fuss. New Formula Fairy, shaking up the washing up.
The Sky sale is now on, so get award-winning Sky TV and ultra-fast broadband.
Well, that's nice.
Together from an incredible €50 a month.
I think you've got exactly what we need.
Enjoy our best ever Wi-Fi and stream all the TV you love in one place. Easy.
The whole world is in your grasp.
Save big with Sky TV and ultra-fast broadband from just €50 a month for 12 months. Search Sky 50.
At Tesco, we know how important saving is to you. That's why we've created value with you in mind. We've brought together everyday favourites, and to make shopping great value even easier, we've put a red bubble beside each and every one. For great value this dinner time, shop the red bubble ingredients for spaghetti bolognese and serve a family of 4 for less than €5. Tesco. Every little helps.
Look who's back to tell you about Quote Devil's incredible insurance deals. Yes, you're on live TV. Home and contents insurance is now reduced to only €199, including accidental damage. Whoops. And you can get a quote in just 60 seconds. Car insurance starts at only €325. And we're specialists in young driver car insurance, cover for those with convictions or previous claims. 40% of people who call to better their car, van or home insurance renewal become our customers. So
Call the Quote Devil for one hell of a quote.
Thank you very much.
At AIB, we've always backed your belief with a fair mortgage, which is why we've lowered our fixed rates even further and still offer some of the most competitive variable rates on the market. These new rates are available to you as a new or existing customer looking to move, buy your first home, or switch to AIB. Talk to our mortgage team today about our new lower fixed rates or visit AIB.ie. AIB. We back belief.
James Dyson has reinvented the vacuum again. With this powerful hypodymium motor, redesigned cyclones, and an intelligent cleaner head for powerful cleaning anywhere. Buy direct from the people who made it.
It's colourless, it's odorless, it's hard to detect. So carbon monoxide deserves your respect. It can kill you stone dead in just 3 minutes flat. And if you don't believe me, ask me dear Uncle Pat. Thanking you. Coal, turf, oil, gas, even wood, any fuel can harm. So get yourself a carbon monoxide alarm, or you might just wake up dead.
Clean away unpleasant smells with Febreze Fabric Refresher and Air Freshener. Its Odor Clear technology works to eliminate odour, leaving a light, fresh scent. Febreze, breathe happy.
Well, with stricter travel restrictions expected to be announced today, our reporter Brianna is at Dublin Airport to hear the very latest. Good morning, Brianna.
Good morning, Karen. I'm here at Terminal 2, and joining me a little bit later will be Professor Anthony Staines to talk about the public health implications of mandatory quarantine. But here to explain a little bit more is Fianna Fáil spokesperson for aviation and tourism, Cathal Crowe. Cathal, thanks for joining us here this morning. How will this work, and who will be affected by the rules being brought in?
So later on this morning, the Cabinet will meet to ratify a recommendation made by a subcommittee last night to implement a 14-day quarantine period, mandatory quarantine period for passengers coming from Brazil or South Africa to Ireland. Now, there aren't direct flights from those countries into Ireland. They will be coming from third countries, but they are the countries at the moment where we're seeing this new aggressive strain of COVID coming from. They would have to quarantine on a mandatory basis in a hotel, security overseen by security, etc. There would also be a mandatory period then for people coming from other countries where they would have to quarantine at home. So we'll see these measures hopefully ratified by Cabinet today, and people who don't have a negative PCR test as well will also be subjected to a quarantine period, and also there could be fines up to 2,500 or a 6-month imprisonment period.
I mean, my question to you is, why not quarantine all passengers? Because we've seen that being brought in Australia and New Zealand, and we know it works. So why are we trialling something that we don't know works?
I suppose many months ago, New Zealand in particular adopted a zero COVID system, and there are very few COVID cases at the moment. They're quite different to Ireland. Geographically, they're very peripheral in the world. There's miles and miles of ocean around them. In Ireland, we've that border with Northern Ireland. We've over 300 crossing points there. Many people this morning and every morning they cross over that to work and for essential travel. We're also very independent. We're also very dependent on the supply chain into Europe. We're very reliant on that, obviously, with vaccines and all our supplies, groceries coming in. So I don't think it's feasible to go to a zero COVID policy. We are already, some people are saying there isn't a uniformity across Europe. There is a traffic light system which already governs how we fly in and out of other countries across the EU member states.
So we've had to change from an advisory to stay home and to quarantine after travel to a legal requirement. Is this an admittance that getting people to self-regulate is a failure?
I suppose what we're seeing is COVID has really transformed over the last number of weeks. In around Christmas time, we had confirmation that the British strain of COVID is in Ireland, which is very aggressive. We've also seen the South African strain come to Ireland. There's very limited cases. We don't have confirmation yet that the Brazilian strain is in Ireland, but certainly they're very aggressive. And the scientific world over the last 24 hours has been suggesting that it may be possible that these new strains could impact on the efficacy of the COVID vaccination. So all of that is being looked at by the European Centre for Disease Control. The Irish government is responding to that, and European countries are also looking at that. And I think today's measures, hopefully ratified by Cabinet, will ensure that we continue to drive down COVID figures, bring back safety to the country, and allow us, hopefully, in the second and third quarters this year, return to some semblance of normality.
We talked about those rising figures, and we know the new strain is behind that. But members of NPHET asked for mandatory quarantine back in July. So now why are we having this discussion in January when the new strain's already here? Could it have been prevented if we brought it in earlier?
I think what we've seen in Ireland is we've had a rolling phase of restrictions. We're now at level 5. We're at peak COVID. And nonetheless, they're saying that COVID figures are plateauing somewhat, albeit at a very high level. I think what we've seen in the last number of weeks, though, is COVID has manifested itself to something far more aggressive. And NPHET and all health advisory bodies and across Europe are suggesting that a more aggressive approach is needed, and that's what I think government are very much reacting to. Not just the Irish government, right throughout the world there are increased restrictions being put in play. These should hopefully be ratified in Ireland today. It'll involve passengers coming from Brazil and South Africa, but anyone who, there should only be people travelling for absolutely essential reasons at the moment. That message needs to be hammered home, and also the point needs to be made that the whole focus of driving down COVID figures shouldn't be on international travel. They shouldn't be. It's on our collective actions as a nation, following public health advice, distancing ourselves from others, only travelling when essential. That's really, I think, where we're going to win the battle with COVID. It could be many months before some of us get vaccines, so it's personal decisions we make over the next few months will really determine how effective all of this is.
Yeah, but you can understand the frustration of, I'm sure, your constituents who are in now their third lockdown, and they're seeing people coming in and out of the country on essential and non-essential travel with no mandatory quarantine. You can understand the frustration in the community, can't you?
Yeah, there's huge frustration throughout the country. You mentioned my own constituency. Our airport in Shannon has no flights, 0 flights. So that's a huge frustration. And that's the thing we need to address down the road, a recovery of aviation. But for now, the simple thing is international travel. It's not a very safe thing to be doing. You're not supposed to be doing it, and only if you have to travel. You will be checked by Gardaí coming in and out of airports. You will also have to quarantine after today because COVID is just far too rampant, and international travel is potentially a carrier of that as well. But we cannot start cutting off our supply chains or restricting them in some way, and that's what zero COVID would involve. But we heard that last night on TV from the Taoiseach that if we do go to that zero COVID model, it would involve totally restricting movements to the point that we could impede some of the essential travel that we currently allow, and I don't think we can allow that to happen. We also have that border with Northern Ireland that would be virtually impossible to fully police.
We're just running a little low on time. I want to ask you one last question. There's been some questions around who will foot the bill for hotel quarantine. Will travellers have to pay it themselves? Will taxpayers? Can you give us some clarity there?
So that detail has to emerge today and over the next couple of days as this system is put in place. But I would believe that it should be a cost borne by the traveller, or if they're on essential business, it's their employer should bear that cost. I noted in Australia, I think the cost for an individual is 3,000 Australian dollars for a quarantine hotel stay of 14 days. And that scales up then to 5,000 for a quarantined family. I think that cost needs to be borne by someone. If you're going to travel on an essential basis, your employer should foot that bill, or you should be prepared to foot that bill yourself.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here this morning. Now, also joining us is Professor Anthony Staines from DCU, a public health expert. Anthony, will this be enough?
No.
Why not?
The Irish people have done what they were asked to do. The numbers of COVID cases coming down because the Irish people are doing their part. The Irish government is not doing its part. The Deputy is quite right to say that foreign travel is not the most important thing. The most important thing is the actions we're all taking, which is happening. The next most important thing is doing public health properly. Proper contact tracing, proper isolation, proper testing. None of this is happening. And it's embarrassing this many months into a pandemic that we're still in that situation. Foreign travel is important because that is where the cases come from. We know, for example, that the Brazilian variant is in the United Kingdom. The South African variant is in the United Kingdom, circulating in the community in the United Kingdom. So quarantining people who have come directly from Brazil through perhaps London or Paris to Ireland or from South Africa is irrelevant. This virus is already circulating in Europe, and they may well be circulating here, and there will be more strains. The next strain might be the Cork strain, for all any of us know. So we really need to get on top of this. Our economy is being wrecked. Now, the Deputy raised the question of essential travel. We have done a lot of work in the ISAC group with the Australians in particular, where they've had to close state borders. We've talked about the processes they used to get supplies across those borders, to get workers across those borders, to get communities that worked both sides of the borders across those borders. And all of those processes are very straightforward. We have special provisions for aircrew. We have special provisions for ships and sailors. We have special provisions for lorry drivers. So supply chains are not affected by this. What is affected by this is essentially leisure travel, non-essential travel. And I agree with the Deputy, absolutely. Essential travel needs to be sustained. But to sustain it, we need to manage the rest of the travel, and we need to manage the Northern Ireland border.
I mean, I think the point to make is, though, the border between New South Wales, where I'm from, and Victoria is a little bit different. There might be an intense footy rivalry, but we've never had sectarian violence. So there's that element added extra that is unique to Ireland.
I think on both sides of the border there are a lot of sensitivities. So it does have to be handled carefully and responsibly. But there are really good politicians on both sides of the border. Our group works both sides of the border. We have members both sides of the border. We work with our UK equivalents who work in Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK. We're fairly confident that with goodwill on both sides, this can be managed in a low-key way. On my way here to do this interview, I passed through 2 Garda checkpoints, both very peaceful, very low-key, very relaxed, but there, and sending a message that I should only be travelling if I needed to travel.
I mean, I know this is being brought in a little bit later than international countries, but is it better late than never? Is it still a good thing?
It is much better late than never. The time to do this is now. Mike Ryan said in March of last year that in dealing with a pandemic, with any pandemic, speed trumps being right. You need to act fast. We have failed to act fast in Europe generally, and we've paid an appalling price in Europe. To put numbers in perspective, we've had the same number of cases in New Zealand in their whole pandemic that we were having every day last week in this country. That's an extraordinary statistic, but it's true. So we have failed. We need to do much, much better. If we had done this right, our economy would be in much better shape. Our health service would be in much better shape. I talk to my clinical colleagues who are literally run off their feet. I have colleagues who are ventilating people in places that were never designed for ventilation. I have colleagues who are trying to provide other essential medical care and can't do it because they haven't access to intensive care beds. Our whole health service has been turned upside down. Our economy has been turned upside down. Our schooling system has been turned upside down, all because we've failed to control this virus. And I'm not saying it's easy to control it. The Taoiseach last night gave a good description of what is required to run hotel quarantine. It's complicated. It involves a lot of pieces, but it's been done. And a lot of the knowledge of how to do it is available to us really for the asking.
Look at how COVID spreads, the official data. International travel accounts for just a small number of that. So how effective will this quarantine measure be, really?
Well, there's two pieces there. The first is we don't know where most cases come from because we don't ask, because we don't have what I would call professional quality contact tracing. Other countries, they know where most cases came from. Here we don't. But we do know that this infection started with travel from abroad. This infection was imported into the country, probably with Irish holidaymakers coming back from Italy, in all innocence, not realising that they were unwell, not realising they could spread the virus to other people, but that's where it came from. If we try to control the virus in our country or in our continent, in the European Union, and we have uncontrolled travel coming in from outside, we'll continually have major outbreaks.